This interview with Margaret Lechner was recorded during a group interview on November 10th, 2007.
Right, our first question is, what first excited you about experiential education?
Yeah, I think for me it was college freshman orientation program. So I was at Earlham when Earlham started its program. So I was student staff and then fairly quickly moved on to the faculty. And a specific example is when the student who had trouble with climbing and just really struggled on the rock and did it with lots of coaching and encouragement, comes back to campus and she's the one who's encouraging on the first humanities paper that person who just encouraged her on the rock. Now she's encouraging that other person on their first humanities paper and saying you can do it, you can make it in the academics. So that ability to transfer. So I think it started in the college. But it's also hard, when did I first become excited about experiential education? I'm like, wait a minute, that's been forever. That was my childhood, was being, growing up in the country and loving being outdoors and, my mother's mentorship on natural history. So it's very difficult to say, when did I start becoming excited? But it's interesting because we're talking mostly about outdoor stuff, and yet my current work with AVP is in prisons. Context? Well, the fact is it very much is in context because Alternatives to Violence Project working in prisons. So it still has that context of being, it's relevant, directly relevant to my life. And though I love the outdoor part, I think that's sort of I think how AEE and experiential education has moved from starting with the outdoor adventurer pieces to, there are lots of ways to experience. What wonderful teacher when my son said, I want to take these kids to the state park cabins, because we'd gone there on a college-related thing where he was one of the kids who came along, and he wanted to take his 5th grade class, and a wonderful teacher said, sure, we'll take the whole 5th grade class and do history. And so we did the food pyramid based on what would have been available to the white settlers in Indiana. So we did the food pyramid based on locally available foods, and they cooked it all, including, we couldn't kill the chicken for state regulations, but they had the whole chicken to make chicken dumplings for the dinner, and at the same time we're reading journals of people, the first white settlers in Indiana, and doing a game that had them making decisions as, how much are we spending for what to get out here. So they definitely appreciating, oh my gosh, and if we had to carry the water and cut the firewood too, how long it would have taken us to cook that dinner. And it's funny because I don't have a particular answer to the field having a challenge. I'd say my challenge is balancing family and profession, which I don't think is unique to experiential education, but I'm certainly aware of it. That's the challenge.
It might be unique, though, to experiential education in some ways, because generally our jobs are not sort of a 9-to-5 job, and I don't know what the differences would be between balancing work and family with a 9-to-5 job versus a job where.
Yeah, I think the time that I left doing adventure programming at Earlham was in part when I realized I wanted to go out in the field with my son on vacations. I didn't want to go, and the choice between time with my students in the field and time with my family in the field, I chose family. Yeah.
What's been your most personally rewarding aspect of experiential ed?
When a student sees something, when I watch a student, I remember doing a geologic mapping thing and just watching him kind of it's a syncline, just see when I can watch them putting things together. And that's certainly one. And it's partly watching people teach each other. And, coming to my current work, and just watching the women in Bedford Hills, they're mentoring each other about how do you reconcile with your mother, how do you deal with the stuff. And all I'm doing is creating the structure, and then letting it go, and letting them do it. where they come up to you, which I had today. Okay, I know you, I know your name. Tell me, and I had to do it this morning, tell me the context. Because
Yeah.
I don't remember where it was, and I'll believe everything you said about what I said 10, 20 years ago, but sorry, I don't remember it. And you think, you've done that for me, you've been a mentor for me.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's sort of neat, isn't it? Is you've been a mentor for me, and you've been a mentor for me. And the way in which that occurs here too. And the way in which each year we come together and reflect back on the previous year and where are you now? What are you thinking about? How did you use this?
Yeah.
That's
I love
really
that
special.
exchange of ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
The exchange of ideas.
Which is how AEE, and that's a thing which AEE brings to it, which is different than just the field of experiential education. It's the fact, this is family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the family reunion.
It really is.
Yeah, or your workshop on dealing with death in programs, which that was a long time ago. And one of the things I learned from that was the importance of each person's story, because you must have taken the first hour for each person to go around the room. It was huge. I mean, there were people sitting on top of every object in the room, but you took the time to have each person introduce themselves, and I don't remember the exact question, but it was a lesson in honoring each participant in the room and the experience they bring, even though that took up far more time than I think you intended in your workshop design.
Yeah, and it actually became the workshop.
Yeah, it did.
And that was the important thing to happen.
Yeah.
And that is a piece of experiential education in terms of, I don't know, I guess you might say that in that case the participants really took a voice in what.
I have pretty much answered our last question, but if you want to expand a little bit more on it, the question is what keeps you coming back to AEE specifically?
Yeah.
Coming back to AEE, though, I think there are two things that matter to me, when you were saying compared to my other professional organizations. Social justice, and the fact that the Women's Professional Group, NALA, that I think is a piece of our focus on the character education and walk and talk.
And so we need to respect them and pat them on the back.
I agree.
Encourage them.
Well, and also have them see their role in making it happen. Because
That's
the
right.
whole thing of when you're important in making the organization function.
That they're making a contribution.
How can you contribute not just to the classroom that you're going back to, but to the organization?